Welcome back to this next episode. I am so excited that we've been doing this training together, and I'm really pumped to actually be talking to you about something that is like not the sexiest thing today, but it's definitely something that I know is at the top of everybody's minds, even if nobody's really talking about it. And what it is the recession. If you're new here, my name is Erica Leman. I am a mentor, a coach for wedding photographers. I also have a background in business, and this makes me unique in the space that I inhabit as a coach. So I have 2 degrees in business. I have a bachelor's in business. I have an MBA. And I've also spent the past 12 or so years working and building my business, my wedding photography business, alongside a 9-to-5. And the 9-to-5s that I traditionally worked were within the higher education sphere, in customer service and HR and business and finances. So I have a lot of background around business, around finances, around some economic stuff. So what I want to talk to you about today is the recession itself, because I know that it is making a lot of us feel a little uncomfortable. And I just want to put it out there. I don't think a lot of wedding photographers are talking about this. I don't think a lot of wedding photography educators are talking about this. So I wanted to talk about it. And like I said before, it is not the cutest topic. It's not something where we're like, yes, we need to listen to this. Yes, like this is something that I really want to worry about, or I really want to learn about. Because sometimes what happens in this type of a situation is that we would rather just plug along and not actually pay attention to what we need to be paying attention to when, right? So when there's something funky coming up, we have the idea of like fight, flight, or freeze. And at this point in time, most people who are in the service-based industry, like wedding photography, are probably going to go into like flight or freeze because there's nothing to fight yet, right? So let's talk about it. Now, when people have been mentioning to me that they are nervous about the recession, they're seeing inflation going up, they're seeing prices of things going up, they're seeing that interest rates are going up, they're seeing that all of these things are markers towards an impending recession. And let me tell you, recessions are not cool. They're not fun to work through. They're not fun to deal with. I actually started my business in the midst of the last recession, which I actually believe the last recession is worse than what this upcoming one has the potential to be. It has different metrics, different measurements. Like each recession is different. And the upcoming one, I think, is going to be less severe and less impactful than the one that came back in like 2008, 2009. And that is also when I graduated college, which was not cool. It was funky to be graduating college in the middle of a recession. And I remember at our like commencement speech or baccalaureate speech, the president of the school actually said, you know, you're graduating into a recession and basically good luck. And we were like, okay. And so what I don't want to do is that, right? Like, I don't want to say like, okay, you're running a business during a recession, good luck. I actually want to give you some perspective. I want to give you some ideas. I want to give you some shifts that you can make in your business now to prepare yourself for the upcoming recession as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a service provider, as a wedding photographer. The first thing that I want to tell you is that just to give you some, some comfort, is that people don't stop getting married just because there's a recession. And I think that, when we're focusing on certain types of media, certain types of news outlets, when we're only reading what is going wrong, we are unable to put perspective around what's actually applicable to our own industry and what's actually applicable to our own situation, right? Because the lens of, oh my God, there's a recession is out there and is being magnified, but it doesn't actually, like when you just say, oh my gosh, there's a recession coming, what does that mean for different industries? It's actually going to be different for different industries, right? And so we have this big economic business economy, right? Like not economic economy, but like we have this economy, right? And in the economy, there are subsets of industries, right? And even in the subsets of industries, there's subsets within those industries, right? So you can think of this as like the global marketplace. And then here is, the wedding industry. And then under that is wedding photography. And there's all sorts of subsets of industries within the actual economy, right? And so just because a recession is occurring doesn't mean that it's going to affect every single industry or subset of an industry in the exact same way as it affects another, right? So you're like, let's just say tech may be impacted, but maybe, housing won't be, right? And these are, industries that I'm just pulling out of the air. I don't have any evidence around that kind of stuff, but I'm just saying that the recession, it is impactful as a whole, but it's not the same type of impact for every single industry. So people are still going to get married during a recession. People are still going to desire to have beautiful weddings during a recession. People are still going to need to hire the vendors that they need to hire to support a wedding day during a recession. And what you need to know now, though, is that if you want to be considered to be competitive, or you want to be considered to be somebody that is in high demand, even during a recession, you need to understand how to sell to people. You need to understand how to run consultations. You need to understand how to connect to people. And when I say selling to people, I don't mean the overt, like, you have to buy from me. I mean, how do you use connection to amplify what you bring to a wedding day, so that when somebody books with you, they feel safe spending with you and investing with you, even during such a time as a recession, right? So you need to know how to run consultation calls to truly connect to people. And the reason why is because people don't buy things or services just because they need the thing or service. Like that's like very, like, you're skimming the top there, right? What they do is they know that they need a service or a product, and they actually buy the service or the product from an individual that they like or they admire. And so you need to make sure that you are connecting with people on a very human level in order to allow them to feel connected to you and to feel safe purchasing from you, even during a time that is sticky financially, like a recession, right? The second thing I want to share with you too is that you can be nervous about the recession, right? Like, I'm not going to say you can't be nervous about it, but you can save yourself some nervousness. You can save yourself some anxiety if you know who you are marketing to. And honestly, like, this is kind of messed up, and I'm going to share it right now. And I know it's messed up, but even during a recession, there are people that have money, right? Even during a recession, there are people that don't struggle, right? Even during a recession, there are people that can still afford what they desire to afford. And it's not just only what they need to afford, right? And so if you're worried that people aren't going to pay your prices, my question isn't, are your prices too high? My question is, who are you marketing to? What bracket are they in? Are they in that bracket of individuals that have money, even during a recession? If you want to make sure that your business is sustainable and can weather a recession, right? Whether it's now or in the future, you need to make sure that you're marketing to a certain level of individual who has access to financial means. And that doesn't mean they're going to be like mega rich. It doesn't mean they're going to be millionaires, but they're comfortable, right? And there are a subset of individuals in the world who are just always comfortable, who have access to money that affords them the kind of life that they desire. And that money that affords them the kind of life that they desire, even during a recession, is going to afford them the vendors that they want to hire. So if you're charging $3,000 or less for a wedding photography package, even like $4,000 or less, like it's kind of like hairy there. I would bet that you would actually have more trouble booking people even during a recession than if you were at the over 4K mark, right? Because the over 4K mark speaks to a specific level of individual who has a specific type of financial means that people under that mark do not have access to. And so people under that mark are going to be looking for discounts. People under that mark are going to be looking for wedding photography packages that are not very expensive. People under that mark are going to be saying to you, you're at $3,500. We can't afford that, so we're going to go elsewhere. But what's going to happen is that you're going to just constantly be battling against this low budget type of mindset, because there are low budget concerns, right? And so if you want to be building a sustainable business and you want to be running a business that can weather a recession, you actually need to be charging prices that allow you to be profitable so that you can weather inflation as well. And so that you can also instill that level of trust in the individuals who are looking to invest with you, right? Because like I said before, there are always going to be people that have money. And are you marketing to them? That's on you, right? And so if you're not marketing to them and your prices are also not aligned with where they're at, whether there's a recession or not, then of course you're going to struggle. And what will happen is that you will just end up running yourself into the ground, and your business has the potential to just kind of like drop off the face of the earth, right? And there's something also to consider as well, is that when you're in lower price brackets as a wedding photographer, those clients traditionally, I won't say every single client, but those clients traditionally, in a lot of cases, are actually more difficult to serve. They are not bad people. They're not rude or anything like that, but they have a lot of expectations. And it's because they assign a different level of energy, a different level of value to money than people who are in higher income brackets do, right? People who are in higher income brackets aren't the people that are, micromanaging you. They're not the people that are giving you a super long shot list. They're not the people who are saying, here's my Pinterest board and I want you to recreate every single photo. That happens in lower price brackets. That happens at the $3,000 and less mark, right? So you really need to make sure that you're marketing to the people that you need to market to, whether or not there's a recession. But especially if there is a recession coming up and we are nervous about it, this is actually the time when you need to be figuring out your marketing, figuring out how to speak to people, figuring out how to connect with people, figuring out how to handle your consultation calls so that your business essentially becomes recession-proof, right? So that you still are able to sell to individuals during a recession and articulate that level of value that you bring to the table as a wedding photographer. Because if you don't, then your business will just kind of fall off the face of the earth. And that is the truth. And is that the truth for every single industry? No. Is that the truth for every single, I don't know. I think it's different from industry to industry. But I think what's nice with wedding photography is that people are still going to get married. People are still going to need to hire wedding vendors. People are still going to want to have beautiful weddings, whether or not there's a recession. But you have to figure out, number one, do you actually know how to connect with people and sell to people and run a consultation in a way that allows them to connect in a way that allows them to feel safe and supported by you? And then number two, are you actually marketing to the right people in the first place who would have access to finances even during a recession, right? Who would have access to be able to afford your prices even during a recession, right? And so if you're not marketing to those people and you're not even considering raising your prices and you're at kind of like a lower price bracket, and when I say lower, I mean like 3,500 and less, like 3,000 and less, then of course you're going to struggle during the recession because people aren't going to want to purchase at that price point. Because when people are at that income bracket where they feel like they can only afford $3,000 or $3,500, if they can find something cheaper, they will find something cheaper. That is the truth. So if you're not willing to address these things now, you will continue to struggle. I have a sneaking suspicion that you may be struggling now. And if the recession comes, it's just going to augment that situation. It's just going to make things that much harder, right? For you and your business. And it will actually, obviously it will cost you your business, right? It will cost you working with wonderful people. It will cost you what you actually desire, financially from your business. But it will also cost you, it will have an emotional impact. It will cost you your confidence. It will cost you the idea of knowing, oh my gosh, people aren't hiring me and I have to close my business and I have to go and I have to get a different job, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I've told you, I'm not the person who's don't work a 9 to 5, right? That has been my story. But there does come a point where there's ego involved. And so if you want to protect your emotions, you want to protect your confidence, and you want to protect your ego, you really should be nailing these things down now. Number one, how do you sell effectively? Number two, How do you market effectively, even during a recession, so that your business is recession proof and you continue to book even while there's weird economic stuff going on, right? These are practical things that you can do, and you may think that things are fine, but if you're getting inquiries and they're not moving to consultations, things are not fine. If you're moving to consultations and people are not booking after the consultation, things are not fine. You should have a fairly high close rate if somebody gets on a consultation call with you. If you don't, there's a problem, right? Things are also not fine if you send somebody sends you an inquiry, you send a response, and they have a pricing objection. There's a problem. You're not marketing to the right individual to be able to afford your prices, right? And there's also an issue there where how transparent are you with your prices? You have to be transparent. This whole process of selling and serving has to be permission-based and it has to be transparent, right? In order for us to connect appropriately with people, we have to be transparent and they have to be able to trust us. They have to look at us and say, okay, cool, I trust this person. They're safe. They'll support me. They told me they were going to do so. And everything that has led me up to this point has proved that they are going to do so, right? So if you're worried about the recession, if you feel like the recession is impacting you already, if you feel like inflation is even just starting to impact you, these are things that you really need to hone in on. Number one, you need to tighten up your consultations. You need to tighten them up to make sure that they are full of connection and impact. And you also need to make sure that you are tightening up your messaging online and on your website and in your welcome guide to make sure that you're talking to the right people in the first place, right? And those people are going to have access even during a recession, which is a horrible thing to say, right? But that's just the truth. That is the truth of the way that there, unfortunately, are hierarchies in the world at this point in time. So, in order to protect yourself and your business, both financially and emotionally, energetically, you really should be tightening up these things now, taking care of these things now, so that as we roll into the recession, if we roll into the recession, you're not severely impacted in a way that could happen and may have happened to you in the past, or you may have experienced in the past or seen in the past. If you have questions about how to do this is what we actually teach in the Booking Accelerator. And I think it's a very impactful program. There is a lot of great curriculum in there about how to message with people and create messaging around people, how to qualify individuals to work with you and vice versa, how to nail a consultation call and what are the elements during a consultation call that you need to hone in on. And these are all things that you're going to need as you move into a recession. So if you're interested, you can take a peek at my website. It's just ericaleman.co, and I will talk to you soon.